Train 262 Heavy, wind calm, runway 31 left, clear for takeoff, caution wake turbulence, previous departure Heavy 777.
Hello and welcome aboard. Welcome to beautiful Miami, Florida. It's hot, it's humid, and we're in a 727-200. A loud one. Funny thing is, I think these engines are actually shut down. Okay, it's quieter over there. Good. The 727 followed the 707 quad jet, and it shares the upper fuselage cross-section and cockpit design. The whole design of this aircraft was actually a compromise. It's just one big, giant compro jet. It's a compromise between the requirements of United Airlines, American Airlines, and Eastern Airlines. They all wanted a jet to serve smaller cities with shorter runways and fewer passengers. Most UA and AA wanted twin jet. Eastern wanted a tri-jet because it wanted to be able to do overwater flights to the Caribbean. At the time, twin-engine commercial jets or flights were limited to routes with 60-minute maximum flying time to an airport. There's no such thing as ETOPS yet. So they wanted at least 3 engines. Let's get into our aircraft really quick. All right, so first things first, there is no virtual cockpit. I know many of you love virtual cockpits, but thing is, I haven't been able to find a 727 with a virtual cockpit, so I chose the best I could. Let's go ahead and run through our keys then, since we're here. Shift 1. There is our cockpit. Now, the eagle eye among you are going to notice there's a problem with this cockpit. It'll be really evident here in a moment. There's our radio stack. There's our GPS, which I will be needing, so that's going to go over there. 4. All right, the eagle eye among you don't even need to be eagle eye anymore. Yes, they used a 747 interior for this plane. Shift 5 is my overhead. Shift 6 is my chronometer. It's the end of the road. All right, so unfortunately they did use that 747 system for this aircraft. That is unfortunate, but without going and finding some payware aircraft, I'm probably not going to find a 727 that really fits the bill. That being said, it would be nice if somebody would do one. Anyway, let's start our aircraft, because right now it is indeed shut down. So while it starts up, in 1959, Lord Douglas, chairman of the British European Airways, suggested that Boeing and de Havilland, later Hawker Siddeley, worked together on their tri-jet designs, the 727 and the DH-121 Trident. De Havilland wanted Boeing to license build the DH-121. However, Boeing felt the aircraft needed to be designed for an American market. That meant 6 abreast seating and the ability to use runways as short as 4,500 feet. In the end, the two manufacturers went their separate ways. But wouldn't it have been interesting if Boeing and Hawker Siddeley, or de Havilland, had collaborated that early on? What would have changed in our world? Looks like engine 2 is coming up. We are flying Carnival Airlines because, well, this pack comes with 4 or 5 727s. No real airline liveries. They're all charter liveries, which is fine. Come on, I need engine 3. There it is. Oh, look at this smoker. Look at that. Yeah. 727-200 is powered by 3 Pratt & Whitney JT8D-9s, producing 14,500 pounds of thrust each. Definitely a powerful aircraft. Okay, I'm waiting for that number 3 engine to stabilize out at about 32. Then we can take to the skies. The aircraft can hold about 145 passengers in a 2-class configuration and has a range of about 1,700 nautical miles, so a pretty decent range aircraft. Well, we're almost at 33. So 33.2 is stabilization. I'm probably going to run it up or beyond. I'm going to let it... Can we just let it stabilize? I don't know. Okay, it's taking too long. Parking brake's off. Alright, let's go. Let's spool up our JT8D-9s. Yeah. Feel the power surge. Oh, we could probably put down some flaps. That would be a really, really good idea. Oh, look at that leading edge. That is not accurate. Ew. Grossness. Alright, well, here we go. Don't want a tail strike. There. Now notice it actually has, right on the tail there, it actually has a strike plate to prevent tail strikes. Because of the short takeoff, they felt they needed that to prevent pilots from pulling up aggressively and striking the tail of the aircraft. The middle engine gets its airflow through an S-duct. The engine itself is actually positioned directly under the tail. The airflow comes into that duct and goes through what is literally an S-shaped ductwork to feed that engine. Now that causes issues. We did discuss this around the L1011, which has the same sort of design structure. Creates issues with flow distortion. Now, on the takeoff of the very first flight of the 727, that flow distortion created surges in that number 2 engine. Now, this was fixed by the addition of several large vortex generators inside that first bend of the duct. The same sort of thing can happen if your AC vent turns 90 degrees and doesn't have vanes in it. It causes problems. Right, I think we're probably overspeed, so we're going to just pop out the air brakes and look at those. Nice. Goes back in. Let's get in our plane. Yeah, probably. A little bit fast. Now, 727 wasn't just designed to go over water. It wasn't just designed for short runways. It was also designed for smaller airports. So independence from ground facilities was an important requirement. This led to one of the most distinctive features of the 727, and it is also a feature of the DC-9 series, and that is the built-in air stairs that open from the rear underbelly of the fuselage. Initially, they could be opened in flight. That was all well and good until a hijacker and bandit, D.B. Cooper, hijacked the 727 over the Pacific Northwest and opened up the air stairs and parachuted out to either death or fortune, whichever. After that, Boeing outfitted their 727s with what was called the Cooper vane, so that air stairs could not be lowered while in flight. Another innovation of this aircraft is the auxiliary power unit, something that we take for granted today. That was an innovation of the 727. We're going to swing around Miami here and try to come in from the other direction. So this aircraft ran an auxiliary power unit, something that was not in the 707 at all. Now, the 727 is one of the noisiest commercial jetliners. It is categorized as a Stage 2 by the U.S. Noise Control Act of 1972. By then they wanted aircraft to be quieter, and to be quieter required engines with a bigger diameter fan blades. This wasn't a problem for the engines on the sides of the fuselage, but that engine in the center, that was a problem. Boeing found that it just wasn't going to work. Instead, 727s still flying today run hush kits, sort of like running an extra muffler on your car to try to quiet the sound of these loud JT8D-9 engines. Today you can still actually fly a 727. There's a company called Zero G that flies out of Las Vegas, Nevada. They also fly elsewhere as well. They have winglets, because you can get winglets put on these 727s, believe it or not, even though they're as old as they are. And they take paying customers on an old zero-G Vomit Comet run. Pull up and then you go over the top, and that going over the top induces a zero-G on the people inside. You can pay good money to go fly in zero-G and potentially throw up all over the place. Personally, if I'm in Vegas, I'm spending my money on the supercar drive. Go back, drive a Ferrari, stuff like that. Now, since the air stairs could, prior to the Cooper Bang, be opened in flight, Central Intelligence Agency used 727s to drop agents and supplies behind enemy lines, make covert drops into other countries, do things like that, because it would just be a commercial aircraft flying over at low altitude, perhaps on a landing run or whatever, and you couldn't detect that rear end was open. So the CIA made use of that functionality. All right, we're gonna try to make this landing. Look at all those cruise ships in port. Ugh. Craziness. All right. Now, would I love this thing to have a virtual cockpit? Yes, I would love it to have a virtual cockpit. I'd love it to have a 2D cockpit that had tri-jet instead of quad-jet. That would also be a good thing. But if you're looking for a 727 for your collection, if you're trying to collect them all, like a little Pokemon set or something, this is not a bad aircraft. It's not a great aircraft, mind you, but it's not terrible. There are worse out there. I will just go ahead and put that out there. There are worse aircraft out there to have. Right. Gears down. That. Gears are not coming down because I'm still going too fast. That's how it always works, isn't it? Okay, we're going to go in on approach. At some point we have to get below speed. Come on. Come on. Come on, baby. There they go. Are we actually on glide slope right now? How often does that happen? God. There's another plane trying to land. I can't land like that. Can't land like this. I think I cut off a A321 or something. Alright, how we doing? How we doing? Mostly good. Yeah, he's gone. He buggered off. Sort of aiming for like the very edge of the runway right now. Okay, we can do this without gauges, mind you, because I can't see anything. Oh, that's all I can see right now. And come on, baby. You can go down. Oh, yeah. Thrust reversing. Unanimated. Aw, that makes me sad. I like the animated thrust reversing. Alright, let's take a little taxi off the runway here. Now, several of you actually, have commented that thrust reversers shouldn't be used below 60 knots. Well, that's mostly true. That is a recommended, don't do that type thing. But if we think back on the 727 and its requirements to operate from small airports and without ground assets, power backing would have happened. You would have been able to, there goes the graphics, whatever. You would be able to reverse thrust the aircraft and power back it. It would have been a fuel drinking nightmare. But it would have happened. In fact, In fact, you can probably find it on YouTube. I've seen it elsewhere. There's a video of an American Airlines MD-80 similar to the parking brakes. Shut down. Similar to the 727 in that it was one of those aircraft that went into smaller airfields. There's actually a video of an American Airlines MD-80 power backing itself, which is just amazing. And it makes me, you know, when I'm flying somewhere and I have to fly an MD-80 and they're like, well, we have to wait on the ground crew to push us out. I'm like, no, you don't. You just put on the engines, put it in reverse thrust, and power back. That's all you got to do. But I know they don't do it because it costs a lot in fuel. It's still possible. It's not recommended, especially today with the 777s and stuff like that. But it is possible in some of these aircraft. This is the 727-200. The link is down below as always. No virtual cockpit, and it does use the 707, 747 2D cockpit, which is kind of a bummer. But if you're looking for a 727 for your collect them all Pokemon thing, this one isn't a bad one. Until next time, Ben Dare Tebbers, this is your Flight Simulator X Spotlight. Happy flying!